My generation talks about their memories. I talk about my dreams. And I'm going to be the next American Prime Minister of Britain.
Come on, Dan Pena.
You know who the first one was? Churchill.
What do you say to people that say, Dan, you promote violence, and we pass that? This is a kinder, gentler world, there's laws, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll say fine, stay poor. When you can take a guy who has amoeba for a brain, and he clocks up 40 million, you are God.
You're turning 74 this year, and you're in more demand than ever. You work hard.
I'm high on life, and my testosterone level is off the motherfucking chart. Men aren't what they used to be. We've got pretty shitty role models.
You're doing more here than creating wealth, Dan Pena.
I know.
You give so much back to this species to help get us to the next level. And I do think it's a matter of survival. And maybe you're going to end up saving us as a human race.
And then Buddha, Allah, Christ, and Peña, and then we'll just forget those three.
Why wouldn't you drink ayahuasca with me?
I'd probably float.
They say that the human race is doomed, that we have lost touch with our true nature, that the media has corrupted us, and that the planet has no future. I disagree. I believe that humanity is full of hope, and that our salvation lies within each one of us. My name is Brian Rose, and my job is to listen, the oldest method of learning known to man. Each week I seek out individuals that are changing the world, people who are living and thinking in a different way. Their stories will challenge your beliefs, make you question your choices, and perhaps inspire you to change. I never planned on doing any of this, but now I can't stop. Join me on this mission and make humanity something we can all be proud of.
Love him or hate him, Dan Pena is back. He's the $50 billion man with the castle in Scotland. He's been in my life for the past 5 years. We've made multiple episodes. We made a movie about him. And Dan is basically my mentor. And on this show, he talks about how he created $50 billion of wealth for his mentees. It's really more like $1 trillion. And Dan, he's on fire. He's got William Morris representing him. He's got movies coming out. He's got books coming out. And we really been deep about his legacy. And also, I spoke to Dan about my ayahuasca ceremonies in Costa Rica, where I saw his big head come out of the sky, what Dan is doing for us as a human species. And at the very end, I challenged Dan to do a ceremony with me, and you'll be shocked by his answer. So sit back and relax. It's his best episode ever on London Real, and I know you're going to enjoy it. And behind the scenes at the London Real Academy, we're making some money of our own. We're teaching people from all around the world how to take their passion and turn it into a business the same way I did with London Real. We've got students in over 87 countries. It's 8 weeks. It's intense. I get you uncomfortable, but I show you how to create a revenue-generating business out of any passion. Here's a bit more about what we do.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Dan Pena, the American-born businessman, entrepreneur, mentor, and founder of QLA, the Quantum Leap Advantage methodology, responsible for the creation of over $50 billion of wealth since 1993. Born in the barrio of East LA, you now live in a 15th century castle in Scotland, and for the past 25 years, you've been teaching your mentees and devotees a style of achieving high performance and super success in business and all aspects of life. You were featured in the London Real documentary film, The $50 Billion Man, which tells the story of our complicated relationship over the past 5 years. Our conversations on London Real have been watched over 20 million times. Mr. Pena, welcome back to London Real.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure.
I still remember like it was yesterday when you came 5 years ago for that first interview.
Almost to the day.
Almost to the day.
5 years ago.
I checked in the calendar. It's 2 weeks. It was April 4th of, what was that, 2014?
Correct.
Yeah. And, well, like we said on the show in the very beginning, I said they're either going to love you or hate you.
Correct.
And at the end, we went out on the sidewalk. We were hailing you a cab. And first you asked if I could see an aura around you, a green glow. And I thought you were crazy. And then you said, Brian, I change people's lives and I'm going to change yours.
Correct.
And you shook my hand and you got in a cab.
Correct.
And I went home and I didn't know what happened to me. What happened, Dan?
Well, look at how you're dressed now as compared to that first interview. People have commented to me that have been long-standing followers of you that your transition in life has sold more people on QLA than probably anything else I've ever done.
God help me.
Yeah, seen from that April 4th first interview through the other 4 or 5 interviews, and more importantly, seeing your change, not just from your dress, your demeanor, how you talk, and that you went from if I understood it correctly, a non-pay, for free model, more or less, other than through advertising, to your various different subsets of models that are, creating millions of dollars or pounds, or however you want to calculate it. So that's a big change. But that's what I've done for, the better part of 50 years, only the last 25 years as a coach. I seem to be able to get the best out of them, even if they don't want it. Now, even people that have adopted my methodology before the QLA was actually formed, and more recently, the last 25 years, even if they've only done it 5 or 10%, we've created multimillionaires, billionaires, and more recently, my poster child is a teenager, Josh Kim, who came to me was 17 years old. He's now 21, and he doesn't like me calling him a fucking teenage phenom anymore. He's a former teenage phenom who's now 21, who's flying around in a jet plane, and is a multimillionaire as a teenager. And so all the way up to the largest deal in recorded history, NEOM, which was initiated by Dr. Klaus Kleinfeld, a long-term mentee, and that where they've got $500 billion that the Saudi government is putting in, and since the initiation of it, the IMF and the World Bank have both committed $2.5 trillion on top of the $500 billion. So I could just as easily call myself almost the $3 trillion man. The almost $6 trillion man, 2.5. But 50 billion is gonna, and especially since I have a lot of suits now that say 50 billion.
And your suit says $50 billion man on
correct.
the pinstripe.
Pinstripes, correct.
I still get a lot of people that say, what's the 50 billion about? I checked, he's not worth 50 billion. And then people try to explain to other people you've created that net worth of equity.
Correct.
But why don't you call yourself the $6 trillion man now?
Other than I have suits that say 50 billion, and the suits are 10,000 pounds a clip. Not bragging, but and I haven't even worn them all yet. It's got a better ring I'd like when we're currently at about, without the IMF and the World Bank, we're currently at about 670 billion. Okay, and I'm going to make it to trillion. So I told my wife that I'm going to work at least until I'm at a trillion, not counting the IMF or the World Bank. But but I don't consider it work. And 50 billion has got a ring to it, and it's all by serendipity that we even started. Because 23 years ago at the Harvard Club, they asked me, I came back for a second time, they asked me, how is your program working out? And I had 5 or 6 of the Harvard Club members had gone to the castle. Well, I said, well, just with the guys here in the room, we created 100 million. And I was looked at with great disdain because they didn't want to talk about money. Mostly because the 95% that didn't come were standing in, like Groundhog Day. They hadn't done anything. And so I didn't talk about money again for 16 years.
But you got the idea. These guys made $100 million with my teaching, so this
Correct.
could be an interesting
Correct.
metric.
And then one of the other guys, who's a great marketing guru, came up with it. He had generated 11 billion in revenue, not equity. Right. And one of my crack staff brought it to my attention. He says, I'm sure that we've got triple or quadruple that in equity. So 10, 12 days later, they came back to me. The first number they came up with was 34 billion we created. And he says, that's just preliminary. Then they put some feelers out. Then we went to 56 billion. And then we went to 64 billion. And then we stuck on, this is almost 10 years ago now, we stuck on the 50 billion. And it's more than enough to show that the system works. And what's most important, and the trouble I had 25 years ago when I first started teaching, coaching, mentoring QLA, is that even though I had taken $800, turned it into 450 million, that's me. They look at my skill sets, my gift to gab, my presentation skills, and then they turn themselves off by saying, we're not Dan Pena, we're not going to be able to do that. So for years, I've been building up a cadre, and now we've got, this is not much of an exaggeration, from Forrest Gump, literally, fucking Forrest Gump IQ types to 180 IQ. And the lower the IQ, the more money they make.
Explain that to people.
Okay.
They don't get that.
Okay. Guys like yourself.
Yeah, how come I can be successful then?
Okay, well, you could be a lot more successful if you had 30 points less IQ.
Explain that too.
Okay. This guy, everybody knows that you're a engineer, MIT, arguably, if not the best, one of the 2 best engineering schools, scientific type schools on the planet. Okay, and you're a graduate. I've checked. You actually graduated. You have a diploma.
You have checked. By the way, Dan checks everybody out with private investigators.
Whereas a lot of the guys out there that call themselves PhDs, etc., have no PhDs, or they bought it on the internet. But back to you.
Okay.
So you're an engineer by definition. Engineers are analytical. Okay, you get trained to be analytical, and quite simply, if you make a mistake, normally if you're building a bridge, you're building a rocket ship or whatever, a lot of people are going to die. It's just not you. So you're trained to be safe.
Train us to be risk averse.
Correct, and risk averse, and
to get excited with all the details and the numbers.
Yeah,
it's like porn for us.
Yeah, and trained to spreadsheet things to death. Okay.
And what does that mean for people that don't understand?
Okay, overanalyze it, analysis, paralysis by analysis.
Which means you don't have to pull the trigger.
Correct.
You can just analyze it all day.
Yeah, just because you hit the send button or enter button on the computer, doing the numbers again, that's not taking action. So you overanalyze, you study things, you think of all the possible permutations, all the possibilities of what can go wrong. And if you do that enough, you'll come up with enough reasons not to do it at all. Because taking action isn't doing a spreadsheet. Taking action isn't listening to a podcast. Taking action is not reading a book, okay? Taking action is actually taking action. And that's why when we came up with a phrase to describe QLA, we borrowed Nike's. They say, just do it. So we say, just fucking do it, to add some emphasis to it. And but if you're an engineer, an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, a scientist, a computer, a PhD, etc. You have learned to study and to take action in a certain fact pattern, okay? And that fact pattern is not a gunslinger, like at the OK Corral, pulling his gun and shooting, okay? That is, well, how's the wind coming? Is the sun at my back or is the sun at his back? How many of them are there on their side? How many? You go through all these permutations. When a good entrepreneur makes decisions a lot based on his gut, okay?
You can decide on a deal in 60 seconds.
Yeah, sometimes less. And you only have 2 times to make a first impression. One's how you look. 2, what comes out of your mouth, okay? A lot of guys and gals look the part, but as soon as they open their mouth, they are engaging in self-sabotaging activity. And it's quite simple. So I'll see a guy or a gal, and you'll walk up and we'll shake hands, and I'll know this isn't it. I'll look them in the eyes. I can see death in their eyes. I can smell fear. Now, let me back up to the handshake. In 1986, the female hand pressure per handshake was 98 pounds per square inch.
Average.
Okay. 2016, it's 108. Men, 1986, 114. Men today, 96. 2016, not today. Not that I need that validation that we're turning more to snowflakes. Not that I need that validation
what does that mean?
Well, it means that men aren't what they used to be. Men aren't the guys today, are not the guys that settled the Western United States in covered wagons and they went from the East Coast to the West Coast. Men aren't the guys from the 14 and 1500s that sailed the oceans blue to find various parts of the world.
Right, and that's hurting us.
In a devastating manner.
Because they're not pulling the trigger and not taking action and risks, which is how we survived.
Correct.
Instead, they are having self-esteem issues.
Correct.
Because they're being told that you shouldn't be aggressive. The patriarchy is bad. You have privilege and you need to tone it down.
Correct. Well, not just tone it down, not have it.
Right.
And it gets back to athletics. Our 3 children, which are millennials, we right at the outer edge as our oldest son, but they were in athletic programs in schools just when the no-win, you participate ribbons. And I took them out of athletics. When they were, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20-some years ago, that's when that started. And that was the beginning of the deterioration of my judgment, manly education. Now,
so you're fighting back against that.
Correct.
And so this is a social experiment as much as a business.
You're making it sound better than it is. That's not how I thought of it. And that's not how I think about it. But anthropologists, sociologists would say exactly what you just said. In fact, some very bright guys at some of the universities that I've had the privilege of talking at to the students have said the same thing.
Right. And if you look at the evolution of the Castle Seminar, which I want to get to, it now features boxing.
Correct.
And even some of my team here at London Real said, are you serious? And they know you. And I'm like, yeah, for the last 6 months or 9 months, everybody, they box it out in the middle of
Correct.
a 7-day seminar
Correct.
where you're wearing suits and ties, being waited on by butlers who used to work for the Queen in Buckingham Palace, finest foods. I've been there. It's all real. And then they punch each other in the face in the middle of it.
Correct.
Okay. So this is the first time I've ever really seen it from this lens. So you're teaching.
And just stopping.
Yeah.
Of the 24 people, normally 18 will go into boxing.
And it's voluntary.
It's voluntary. And but the ones that aren't going in normally have some physical deformity or something, something's wrong with them. And we don't advertise that, but 95% or 98% of the able do it. A third of the ones that go in the ring have never been in a fight in their whole entire life, even on a schoolyard as a kid, okay? The one that I have on social media where that guy is throwing a right, overhand right, and on a guy, he was hitting a Canadian guy. That's a PhD in mechanical engineering from whatever, the Max Planck Institute in Germany. And he had never thrown a punch. He was scared, trembling before he got in the ring, okay? And he had never been disciplined as a kid. He's never been screamed at as a kid. He never, he was a goody little two-shoes, PhD, and...
he was in his suit when he threw the punch, right?
No, he wasn't.
In the early days, some of the guys were going in barefoot in their
Some of the
suits.
guys, because they weren't going to fight, and then they got involved in the moment. They hadn't brought the right shit, so then they got involved in the moment, because the guys enjoy it. But one of the reasons we came up with the boxing is because before we started the boxing, we had 4 fights and 3 seminars of the guys duking it out. I go to sleep. They never fight when I'm awake. I go to sleep. We say, Sally and I say goodnight. And then in the morning we find out, we've only had a couple of pieces of furniture broken. And the guys bellied up. They paid for it.
In the castle, they're fighting, throwing punches after you go to bed. Okay.
Correct. And, about a year ago, we had a little Arab guy who had a little teeny mouse who had been pushed around by a bigger guy. And graduation night, he cold-cocked him as he was walking through the main hall.
Okay, but that's all your fault, right? Because you're alpha, everybody up that
the
week.
adrenaline is pumping. I mean, some of the guys didn't even know what an adrenaline rush was.
Okay, so this is a positive thing.
Yeah.
So look, I remember when I was up at the castle, I said they don't make him like Dan Pena anymore, and we should cherish for what he tells us. You're kind of giving us a glimpse into what we were in the past. And you're trying to remind us that there were good things there.
Yeah.
And what do you say against all the people that say, well, violence isn't the solution, and we should embrace the feminine side, and all of that stuff?
Okay, I'll say if love worked, there would be no personal development. Love doesn't got the job done. Okay? Love doesn't work. Religion doesn't work. Nothing works other than if you have self-esteem as a human being. You're a better person, you're a better father, you're a better husband, better wife, whatever the hell, you're a better citizen. You take life more serious if you have self-esteem, if you have self-worth. I said at dinner the other night, Gallup poll did in 2016-17 a study. 86.6% of the people on the planet, of the 7.6 or 7 billion, are unhappy. They've locked out. They're not looking for anything in life. And I say I'd like to find the 13%, because most people are living hand to mouth. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, that's why your programs are so successful, because you give them alternatives. Okay, that's why Dan Logue's programs are so successful, because he gives them alternatives, and the alternatives aren't being taught. When I was at these various universities I've had the privilege of speaking at, one of the first questions I ask is, how many classes have you had in buying a business? How many classes have you had in selling a business? No hands go up. How many classes have you had? This is the business schools.
Right.
How many classes have you had in leadership? None. Except for Naval Academy more recently, none. Well, then how in the fuck, what are they teaching you here? If you don't know how to buy a business, sell a business, and you can't lead the people, but they're not being taught. There's that
You're
many.
trying to change all that.
Correct.
Okay, and what about the women that come? Are you not teaching them try to be men? Because you have women that show up.
No. But we had the last seminar, we had 2 women get in the ring, and one of the women wanted to get in the ring with a guy, and I wouldn't allow that. I didn't know what the outcome was.
Okay.
But the women, I mean, they're throwing punches. Not like you used to see scratching the eyes out.
They were duking it out.
Yeah, they were pretty
All
good.
right, so this isn't a social experiment, but looked at it from a social lens. You're trying to get people to kind of man up.
Correct.
Get the self-esteem back by any means necessary, and start pulling the trigger.
As long as it's legal, moral, and ethical.
Okay.
And what the kids have said, I tell them all, go where there's a rule of law. If there's no rule of law, QLA can't work. Or not can't, much more difficult. There's no rule of law. But morality and ethics swing in the wind, because everybody's morals and ethics are different. And the ethics and morality in Russia is different than in Connecticut, okay? And so that they have to, kind of feel the way through. But what was socially acceptable in the early 80s when I got started, actually the late 70s when I got started, isn't socially acceptable now. They have bad names for people that go around and do some of the stuff that they used to do.
So you have to be aware of that when you're doing business.
And that's what the Dream Team does. The Dream Team, because it's experience, you've got 100 to 150 years of experience. The Dream Team is there to tell you, what you can do, and they can also tell you how to, you're still going to make mistakes, but not to make the most obvious mistakes.
Okay. And look, today I want to get into a few more details of QLA. I want to talk about the Dream Team, and I want to do a couple mini case studies with Josh Kim, Klaus Kleinfeld, and maybe even go into Rick Scott, former senator, former governor, now senator.
Correct.
Potential president of the United States in 2024. We'll get into that as well.
Okay.
Back just to finish out our loop on IQs, you're talking about me as an engineer, saying the smarter you are, the more risk averse you are.
I'm going to give you a case study.
Yeah, give me a case study.
Okay, the guy with a closer to 80 IQ was responsible for a 400 million pound deal, healthcare in this country. Okay, he was a joiner, carpenter.
Right.
Okay, he had 1 O level. For those of you in Britain, you know what that means. He had a D in joinery. Okay, 180 IQ. Let's go up about 80, 100 points. The guy is on the Hall of Fame, and he's doing with his 180 IQ. He went to university 4 days to take 4 finals each year. He never went to class. Graduated top of his class, and also computer science engineering. Okay, and he's doing 10, 20 million euro deals, and he's never even come close to a 400 million pound deal, because the computer scientist, you talk about fucking analyzing it. I mean, he's waiting for on the 29th of February, all the moon and everything to be juxtaposed, and so he doesn't pull the trigger. Whereas the carpenter, he just jumped on it like like stink on shit, and just was persevering, just kept driving, and until the deal got done.
Okay. So QLA works better with people that don't overthink it.
Correct.
And you said, I remember you said this to me, you said it takes the longest time for engineers to get it. But once they get it, they implement it more effectively than other people.
Correct.
And why is that?
Because there are advantages to the skill sets of the engineer. It's no accident that 40% of all the billionaires are engineers. That's not an accident. Okay, and once they get it, and once that penny drops or the shoe drops, whatever the saying you want to use, then they just the world is their oyster.
Yeah, what you taught me to do is to engineer risk into my life.
Correct.
So now every time I'm faced with a decision, or sometimes even when I not faced with a decision, I just think, how can I engineer more risk in this situation? Whereas before, I would try my hardest to engineer less risk in the situation, which meant growth was slow, and I played it safe, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter anyways. What, so a couple people thought I failed?
Yeah, so you played, instead of playing to win, you played not to lose. And one of the, not new concept, we talked about it when you were there a few years ago, but because I do change every seminar, and so we start playing with the slides, and we move some of the blocks around. And I'm not sure how I explained. When you start a business from zero, your first 50,000 in revenue is geometric. Your next 500,000.
Explain that to people. So when you start a business, any business, those first 50,000 in revenue is geometric.
Because it comes from zero, nothing.
Right, it goes from 0 to 50. You're just obviously
and then 50 from 0 to 500 is geometric. Okay, Microsoft started that way, Facebook started that way, Google. But then what people start doing is they start playing, instead of to win, they play not to lose, and they start not doing the same things that got them the first geometric growth. But the other more important thing, in my judgment, and it's really proven beneficial to the kids in the last year or two, is that first million in revenue, because we buy revenue. It's easier to buy revenue than create it. That revenue that has $1 million now, we don't know how much he spent or they spent to create that $1 million. So when banks see that, you're de-risking the commercial debt. You're de-risking because you're having cash flow, free cash flow that covers debt service based on somebody else. It may have taken them 25 years to get $1 million in revenue. And you're buying it in a week, a month,
right.
6 months.
And when you say buying it, that's through acquisitions.
Correct.
Which we're going to cover later with QLA. But it's a really interesting point. You were out in California, one of Elon Musk's companies, Hyperloop, talking to those guys, and you made this point. They had the MIT engineers and everybody out there. They knew my story, but they got it right away. When you say, hey, when you buy that revenue as an acquisition, you basically, you've seen them on this whole journey where normally they would have to take a lot of risk to get that.
Correct.
You can buy that.
Correct.
In a heartbeat.
And then a big guy stood up, and I don't know if he was an engineer or not, but I know he could block out the sun, he was so big. And he said that I've seen the transition, and for those of you in the audience that haven't seen the transition of you,
Brian Rose.
Yeah, Brian Rose.
Me. Okay.
Yeah, and
he
he
Caltech
said,
guy or MIT?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. All I know is of course, then the other guys, they're skeptics. Engineers are skeptics. They want to put a goddamn rocket ship underground. A million things can go wrong with that thing, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, they're optimistic. They're optimistic. But about me trying to explain buying revenue, well, I don't know. But when the engineers get it,
okay,
they get it. And
how does that room full of some pretty high performance people,
correct,
at a
smart
high performance
guys,
company working for probably the highest performance CEO in the world, Mr. Musk, how do they handle it when they
now Musk has not disassociated himself. He's turned over the loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is that underground high-speed tunnel.
There's an Italian guy, and his name escapes me, who's now the CEO of the loop. And but I mean, they understood. In fact, they want me to speak. They're going to do every third or fifth Saturday. They get together. They rent a movie theater, and 5, 6, 7, 800 of them come together. And so I'm going to get my schedule in the next few months so I can go speak to them on a Saturday. But they understood the deleveraging immediately. They understood that it took the risk away.
Right. Okay. And we'll try to get more into that later as far as that concept of buying revenue. I want to talk about how busy you are, because you've been going around speaking with, you've been talking directly to the Navy SEALs, the Naval Academy, places like Hyperloop, big universities. You also have 12 events at the castle this year,
correct,
right? Including hardcore, 1 or 2 hardcores?
1 hardcore, 11 regular.
I mean, that's the most you've ever done in a single year. You're turning 74 this year.
Correct.
And you're in more demand than ever.
Correct.
From a younger audience than ever.
Correct.
And you're making more money than ever.
No.
I mean, for them. More net worth.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I looked at it before I drove over here. 51% of my demographics comes from 15 to 34.
Okay.
Call it 50%.
Okay.
Okay. 15 to 34. And even though the 15 to 25 is only 20%, they exist when 10 years ago they didn't. And the 40% is from 25 to 34. So, as I said at dinner, my demographics have gone upside down. And it's because the young kids, don't want to make the same mistakes as their parents. And as I told you, when I asked the audiences, and I asked the Hyperloop guys, how many of you would want your kids to be like you? One guy put his hand, well, parts of me. I don't mean parts of you. Okay. Next, how many of you would want your kids to be like your grandparents? The same guy. Parts of my dad. Parts of, meaning no. Nobody. I mean, and so, and
what
yet.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, that means that for the most part, subsequent to the Second World War, my dad's generation, we got pretty shitty role models. We're
not proud of what we've done.
No, we're not. I mean, I wanted to grow up and be just like my dad, and I know my kid brother, same thing. He wanted. I thought all fathers were alpha males, because my dad, not that he hung, but the guys that he was associated with were either World War II and Korean veterans, like he was. These guys were, I didn't think of it that way. I mean, but they were fucking hard ass.
Right. And for people that don't know much about Manny, your dad, brief synopsis on what he was like and who he was.
Well, he invented tough love. He was hard as nails. His dad passed away before he was born, a couple months before he was born. So he said, well, the Navy and the military made a man out of me, so he raised me as if we were in the military, even way before I went in the military. So he volunteered for 2 wars. I volunteered for 1 war. My dad, when he retired his first career as a 28-year-old veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department, had 702 days statutory leave he hadn't taken in 28 years. Now, if you do the maths, as they say in this country, that means he never took a fucking day off in 28 years. I.e., there was a 26-year period in my life, I worked every single day, including the day I got married. 26 years.
The day you got married?
No, I worked some the day I got married, okay? And but it's not work for me. My dad loved what he did, and I love the results of bringing people across the goal line and allowing me to call myself the greatest of all time vis-a-vis creating wealth through equity. But
we're not teaching that anymore.
No, we're not. We're not
teaching people about holidays and
correct
time off and four-day work weeks.
And they've got another thing. It's not some kind of quick time or something where they don't even keep track of your hours.
Oh.
They only keep track of you getting the job done, but the bars are so low. I could get the job done in a weekend. I told you the story. Our youngest son, when he was in graduate school, he sent me over 4 case studies, and on a Thursday he said, "Dad, what do you think of these?" And I said, "When do you need the information by?" He says, "Sunday." I spent 8 hours, 4 case studies. I sent it back to him. He thought that I had my students, my mentees, do the work. And when he turned it in, this is 1 quarter's work for a team of 4 graduate students. 1 team. I did it in 8 hours, the work. What the fuck do you do all year? I asked him. He says, well, we study there's nothing to study. These are the facts. I mean, Jesus Christ. You run a couple of numbers, but the kids today have a low benchmark. I think the reason the big schools keep it a 2-year MBA is because they can charge fees for 2 years. That's my own personal opinion, because it can't possibly. During the hardcore, we covered between 32 and 38 cases, just like Harvard, just like Columbia, just like NYU. We do it in 8.5 days. 8.5 days.
So no need for these business schools. No. And again, you think they don't teach you how to buy a business or sell a business?
No.
Back to your father, do you think the greatest gift you can give your children is to be an alpha male?
No, the greatest gift you can give to them is make them accountable for their life in all aspects. If you're an alpha male, fine. 98% of the high-performance people on the planet are not alpha males.
Explain that.
Okay? They're beta males, okay? Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, all have one thing in common. They're introverts. They're not alpha males. 98% of the...
a few engineers in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But you don't have to be.
All right.
But if you want to be a role model, kids don't do what you tell them to do. They do what they see you do. And my grandson, my first grandson that we went to visit here a couple weeks ago in Columbus, Ohio, with our youngest son, Derek, when he got out of the hospital, and I posted it on social media, he's wearing T-shirts, Future Legend. Every single thing that is being done for him is laying the groundwork for him to have high expectations of himself, be a high performer. I know why the Kennedys and the Rockefellers and those people send their kids to those schools, because there's a higher probability that if they were raised in a wealth creation, high performance environment, that it's going to rub off. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Right, and it's just expected.
Correct.
Especially the Kennedy family. I mean, if you're a Kennedy, you got to step up and do something in that
Correct.
family. You got to run for office, you got to take risks, and you got to be a part. So the same thing happens with your kids. So expect high performance out of them.
Correct.
Demonstrate it yourself. Hold them accountable.
Correct.
And that's what your dad did to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was a hellion. I did a lot of unsavory shit, And I've told you this before, and I tell the audiences, my parents, especially my dad, only had one goal in life for me, and that was to keep me alive till the age of reason. He didn't know if that was going to be 20, 30, or 40. And the last time I got arrested, I was 31 and a half years old, and I was already successful. Matching Mercedes, Rolls, lived in a Frank Lloyd Wright type house, not a Frank Lloyd Wright, but a house like that, And I was a psycho.
What'd you get arrested for?
Drunk. Well, allegedly, I assaulted a policeman, but I don't remember that part. I remember getting stopped drunk, and I remember him poking me with his billy club, and which in California, there's no big deal, you know. And I might have taken the billy club away from him, but I don't recall that really.
That was the last time you were
arrested. That's the last time. That's also I stopped driving.
Okay.
I've had drivers ever since.
Because
I still like to drink, especially then, and I'm not going to drive and drink. So, and you forget. No. Did I know I was drunk? Yeah. The officer stopped. I was driving my 450 SL Mercedes, brand new, okay, with my right tire. You know how there's a kind of like a ditch on the side of the freeway? Mm. My right tires were in that, and I'm driving 4 or 5 miles an hour, okay, with the top down. And
yeah, I would pull you over.
Yeah, he pulled me over, and in court, because went to court, the cops say we didn't want to jump in the car because he wasn't listening to us, because I was just drunk, and we didn't want to step in front of the car because we get run over because he was just driving along. But yeah, so I don't need to drink and drive.
Okay, I want to talk about, so this year, 12 seminars at the Castle, and I mean, these things are no joke. I mean, it's 8 days, right? You're going, I mean, you work hard.
Yeah.
You're going all day, 8 hours of instruction. Then you got meetings at night for another 3 hours or 4
Correct.
hours. You're hosting dinner.
Correct.
I mean, it's a lot of work for you.
Correct.
You go dark, so you know. I mean, I can't.
I'm up before them, and I go to bed. Go to bed more than later than everybody, but most of the people. But the first day, I say by the sixth or seventh day, you're going to be tired, and I won't be. I get more alive and more alive and more alive, and I do. I get more alive and more alive. By the sixth or seventh day, I mean, I'm more energetic or more psycho than I was the first day. Because the QLA seminar is like sex. It all comes at the end, okay? You know, all the points come together. All the dots are right in the last 5 or 6 or 7 hours. And so I'm more wound up about that, because I know the better I present that, the higher the impact, the more it'll resonate. And, you know, occasionally, you know, I don't feel like that. But Alistair Cook, the great BBC presenter, told me 30 years ago when I first came here, being a high-performance professional is doing the greatest job when you don't feel like it. And so I drive myself.
12 seminars this year. All the kids are coming to your castle because they want to know how to get the fucking money. Right, Dan? Why don't you tell us?
Okay, well, I have a link on my site, free. How do you get the fucking money? It lists the 14 sources.
Will money solve my problems?
Huh?
Will money solve everyone's problems?
No.
Okay.
The only thing money will do, it'll allow you either to dig a deeper hole that you're already in, or somehow catapult you out of the hole. Okay, out of the hole. And and most of the kids that do it are able to get out of the hole.
How?
But part of the reason that they're in a hole is, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, your family. When you're raised, the first 7 or 8 years of life is when self-esteem is built. Who you're around the first 7 or 8 years, mom, maybe a dad if he's not working or not traveling, older sibling, a grandparent, right?
Yeah.
They know nothing about training high-performance people, okay?
Very low probability they're high performance.
Correct, low probability. Now, if you're Steffi Graf and Andrew Agassi, and they're your parents, and there's a high probability you can be a world-class athlete. But other than some examples like that. And then after you've built that...
Nobody wants to hear that.
No, I know that.
Like you told the whole premiere of the $50 billion man that your parents fucked you up, and that's the reason why you're all low performance. You should have, you know, drained down your mama's leg instead, but nobody wants to hear that.
No, I know they don't. Doesn't make it not true. Doesn't make it not.
Okay, so if people can accept that, then they can move to the next step,
correct.
Which is how can I fix
correct.
it?
And then, so now you're adolescent, teenager, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Most of us, when I say us collectively, not me, most of us are attracted to people that are like us because we fit in. We don't want to be a sore thumb, either on the upside or the downside. I've seen kids, looking back in hindsight, that were high performance, but wanted to hang out like with the hoods, right, or the greasers, they used to call them, I think. You know, and this guy's got 170 IQ, ultimately went to Stanford or MIT, and he's hanging around. They used to comb their hair in DuckTales, back in my day. I don't even know exactly what that means, but the hair comes down anyway. And then he winds up being a medical doctor from Stanford, you know. But he went through that phase because he wanted to fit in. So we're attracted to people that we're more in their and our comfort zone together. What QLA teaches is to teach you how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And, you know, most people don't want that.
So simple to say, so difficult to do.
Oh, amen.
Because subconsciously, your brain is always trying to get you comfortable, and it will tell you any story as to why you shouldn't go do that. I don't have the money, I just got married, I just got divorced, I just got kids, a Brexit, blah, 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 blah. It's constantly trying to convince you not to take the risk.
Correct. And the irony is that you can always come up with a reason. And then once you're successful, whoever said it's hard to get successful, but it's harder to stay successful, was some sort of genius, because it is. Because now are you going to be a one-trick fuck? Did you do it one time? You know, was it just by accident? So I'll sit on my assets, and I'll covet my assets, and I'll do everything humanly possible to play not to lose instead of playing to win.
And you see that all the time.
Oh,
people come to your seminar, I want to be billionaire. And then they make
10, 20 million bucks. I never hear from them again.
Why?
Never hear from them again.
Because they'd rather just sit back.
I mean, and you know, I don't know how $20 million or 20 million pounds can change anybody's life, but it does. I had a guy make 4 or 5 million pounds. I didn't hear from him from 2004 or 5. He wrote me a letter on HSBC letterhead, signed by the vice chairman of the company, saying he had proof of funds in his bank account, $840 million.
So he kept going.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, we've got a number of people that have made, you know, a lot of money, but part of the deal is if you don't want me to share it, I won't. But when they're dead, that's obligation. I'm not suffering under that obligation anymore. You know, I'm going to be screaming from the high heavens.
So you're
yeah, we've got a couple of German industrialists that are, you know, I wish them a long life, but if they don't have a long life, you know, my numbers are going to go up dramatically.
And so, just to be clear, the money isn't going to solve your problems.
No.
But, man, I think this is a good point to make. The pursuit of getting that money, or the actual getting that money itself, is going to change your life so much. You'll be going into the risk, changing your peer group, getting uncomfortable, working hard at something. That in itself is potentially going to make you a better person.
Yeah. Increase your self-esteem.
Right. You say guys walk into the room, they look 6 inches taller after they've done their first deal.
I told you about Roberto. He asked me, he's from New York, no education, and he's in retail software business. And he said his benchmark was going to be, it's going to cost me $20,000. What kind of return of investment can I expect? Or is the average? I said, there is no average. 10 months after he left the seminar, he closed a deal where he made $30 million on the $20,000 investment. He kept $20 million, and he gave $10 million to his team. That's highly unusual to give $10 million bucks to your staff, but he did. Okay, but based on the 20 million he kept, he made 1,000 times on his money in 10 months. And I mean, he's not the best deal we've had. We got a guy who bought 5 hotels. I keep saying hotels, hospitals last year, and he used to make 35,000 euros a year. And he's coming back to the seminar next month. And he's worth today. He's worth, depending on the multiples, between 40 and 60 million euros. And he's a nice guy. And in fact, I mentioned to you last night, Dan Loke is coming to the seminar in August, bringing some of his ninjas with him, because default's a bitch. Because let's just take you. These guys all think you're Jesus Christ superstar.
I don't know why.
I don't either. Believe me. Okay, but they do. And you have a tremendous following. You got a lot of kids. And I call you all kids, as you know. You got a lot of people. And it's easy to slip back into, I'm not going to push myself. Because when people blow smoke up your ass constantly, 24/7, 365, it's a good feeling,
Even the most vigilant, high-performance person will be subjected
absolutely.
to that. You've seen that.
That's why guys like Gates, the late Steve Jobs, Elon, they don't hang. Eagles fly alone. When it's hard for the birds that are flying at 10,000 feet to blow smoke up your ass when you're at 25,000 feet. And but it's not easy. It just isn't.
So they're disciplined to go back and
correct.
get a fresh.
They're going back to refresh. Plus, I mean, even the seminar a year ago is different than the seminar today. Okay. Because we take what works today, last week, will be in the new seminar in a couple of weeks. Now, the easiest example to show is from back when the seminar was in the late 90s, early 2000s. We were writing letters. None of this was digitized. Okay, so all our templates were a letter. Okay, we were face to face. Now we have kids putting teams together via Skype and Zoom, and not meeting their whole team. Those are mostly young guys, okay, that their internet skills or social media skills are better. But the older guys, or the guys that are old school, still want to see eyeball to eyeball.
So they travel.
And I'm a proponent of that method. But I mean, Josh Kim didn't meet everybody up front. I mean, he met a couple of them.
Okay. Let's talk about some of this process. As far as what happens at the castle. First of all, how much is the castle experience?
Castle experience is 15,000 pounds.
Okay, about $20,000.
Yeah, that's all in. You got to get there and you got to leave, but we feed you and we do all the stuff.
And it's 7 days or 8 days?
No, it's 7 days.
7 days. Okay, you can come early if you want. Okay.
No, you can't come.
You can't come early.
We have people at the gate 2-3 days early.
Just camping out.
No, they want to know if can we just get the I don't want to make a fool of myself the first night at dinner. And not everybody knows how to use forks and knives. I'll just leave it at that. We have some people this is a slight exaggeration, Texas. They put their knife and their fork in their hands like this. Where's the food?
And the point is they come to the castle so you can teach them a lot of things. And first of all, you're isolating them from there at the West. I remember when you got me up there 4 years ago, I was like, all right, what's happening to me there? You're isolating me from everybody else. You're going to indoctrinate me with a certain way. I had to dig out my suits from the city that I hadn't worn in 4 or 5 years. I didn't even wear suits at the end of my city career. I was over it. And I got all that up. We're obviously fed by you, butlers, and waiting on you hand and foot. And you get 8, 9, 10 hours plus, actually, because you homework at night and movies at night of QLA 7 days in a row.
Correct.
That's what happens.
Correct.
Why do that way? Because no one in the world that I know of does that.
Well, one, because it works. 2, I want to get you as uncomfortable as humanly possible from vis-a-vis your old lifestyle. And that does. It starts with the suits, the formal meals. Certainly, we've only had one guy in 25 years that ate like that every day, and he was a bastard great-great-grandson of a pope who lived in a big 300-bedroom palace outside Rome. He's the only guy that's ever come through the seminar that was not uncomfortable for. We drive you the 10, 12 hours a day, as you alluded to. We have homework. Most of the guys, in fact, I don't know anybody that has a 2, 3, 4, 5 day seminar that has homework at night. Everybody's out getting fucked up, drunk, whoring around in the city, wherever it is. And I read the homework, and based on at lunchtime the day after the homework, you turn in your homework, and now I read it during lunchtime of the following day. And if I don't like the answers, I can either throw you out. If you're taking it, for granted, the gym privileges, there's rarely any time for the gym. But if I don't like one guy's homework of the 24, no gym privileges tomorrow. If somebody's late to class, no gym privileges. If you're late to a meal, no gym privileges. Okay, and we hold you accountable. And you're accountable when you fuck up. You're fucking up the other 23 guys. lives, guys and gals. And peer pressure is good. Peer pressure is good. Peer pressure works.
And what kind of businesses are we talking about? And the businesses that you're personally involved in are always only the ones that involve your mentees.
Yeah, I don't do anything, and haven't for many, many years, that doesn't come through a mentee that I personally train.
Most people don't understand that. Why is that?
Well, because then I don't have to program you. You know, I know what works and I know what doesn't work. I know private equity doesn't work for you. It works for the private equity guys. I know commercial debt, where you're not being diluted in the ownership, works. I know you can fund things with commercial debt. I know interest rates are the lowest in 5,000 years. Okay? So I know all that, and I don't want to have to reprogram some, cowboy from Belarus or from West Covina to explain to him. And because you've seen, because during the class we have normally 2 to 3 webinars per seminar day that are from guys that just left, that are in the trenches showing you how to do it. And we have like one alpha male guy, and there are not too many of those. And then we've got some little nerd who wouldn't say shit if it was in his mouth. And then, and we give the whole spread of personalities.
And you get them on a video, and they're in their office, they're 4 or 5 months in, they're like, look, this is what I'm doing. This is my dream team.
Correct.
I'm rolling up these companies. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm not.
And almost always they say, I know Dan doesn't need any validation, but it was like deja vu from the webinar that we saw 5 months ago when I walked into the PricewaterhouseCoopers office. I mean, there were 5 partners in there. The more partners in a meeting, the better they like it. I had my script, and our board has taken the decision to review all our professional relationships, including accounting, law, and banking. And how can PwC, how can KPMG, how can BDO assist us in our growth? You've sent them an executive summary. You're going to dominate whatever it is, the industry you're in. You've got a board, a dream team of 150 to 200 years of experience, $25 billion of deals, 100 or 150 deals, whatever.
And you're following the script.
You're following the script.
The QLA script.
Yeah, and there's only 4 or 5 questions. It's like a politician. Politician has 3 talking points normally, maybe 5 if he's smart. No matter what question you ask the politician, it's one of those 5 answers. We're no different. We got 5 answers to 1 million questions, okay? The board has taken the decision, and the words are a little different in this country. The board has taken the decision. In America, you don't say the board has taken the decision because they don't know what you're talking about. Take what decision? We've decided to in American.
Okay, so you give them that recipe on how to do it.
Correct.
And they see in real time the people executing it.
Correct, and we give them 3 to 5 of those a day. Then more recently, since Josh just got there in August, we retaped interviewing process. How do you interview a chairman? How do you interview a potential seller? And how do you interview a financial institution? And we've got Josh, and I play the bank, or I play the seller, or I play the potential chairman, and he sits there, it's on in film, and he shows how easy it is. And most of the kids, because the scripts are only 6-7 minutes long, that's it. That's with questions. And as Josh says, and this is online on social media, after 3.5 years, 95% of the things I worried about still have not happened to me, and I've made 4 acquisitions.
What was he worried about happening?
Well, he looked young. He was 17. He looks 10. His age has only come up once, and it was about 6-7 months ago. In my opinion, it was a jealous 29-year-old banker that saw a kid with no college education, homeschooled, got $10 million in revenue, and he said, well, how old are you? And Josh answered him appropriately. I don't think, age has anything to do with it. We have, 120 years of track record, and we got $9.6 million in revenue. I mean, what's my age got to do with anything? And that's the right way to answer it.
Okay.
But he's not the. We have other kids, that are in their 20s that are buying business. We had a kid named Chris who closed a deal last day of last year, and people make fun. He bought a $1.3 million business for $1. Motivated seller. He structured the seller's finance just like the guy wanted it for his retirement. They didn't want to go through banking, due diligence. They didn't want to go through quality of earnings and all that crap. The business was simple enough that Chris could figure it out. And and he says, oh, because you have to have, money has to change hands, otherwise it's not a deal. Here's $1. We've had probably 40% of our deals, 2017 and 18, are 100%, owner financed, at least 50% to 100%. We had a deal close a few months ago, 99% owner financed. I said, well, why 99? Because there was a secretary that had 1%.
And you had to buy her out.
Yeah, and she didn't want to buy out.
What industries are we talking here? What is the big thing that you push?
Healthcare is hot.
Okay, Josh is in healthcare.
Correct.
Kind of low end,
yes.
low price healthcare.
Telehealth is super hot.
Okay.
Where you
video call health.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
But cybersecurity
is that going to stay hot? Telehealth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cybersecurity is the hottest of all.
Still,
but now instead of buying them at 4, 5, 6 times cash flow, you're having to buy them for 8, 10, 11 times cash flow. But then you're using more owner finance. Now, virtually everybody that's listening to this has heard in America or here in Britain, no money down house buying. No money down. Everybody knows that. This is the same principle, except it's no money down company buying.
Explain that to someone where they don't understand.
You've got a $100,000 house, okay? You're old, you want to move to Miami, it's too cold here, whatever. Okay, I say fine. Let's say the house is $100,000. I'll give you $125,000 for the house. I went 10 years to pay. First year, no interest. Second and third year, interest. Fourth through the 10th year, interest and principal. Amortizing the principal evenly over the fourth through the 10th year. You don't involve a bank, just the seller and you.
Seller finances you, basically.
Correct.
And is interested in you making it a success.
Correct.
Or he loses.
Correct. And the only downside in their mind, what if I default?
Then he gets the business back.
You get it back.
Right, which he already had anyways.
Correct.
Because nobody wants to buy it.
Correct.
Okay, and that's
and
big.
it's working like a charm.
And they're buying revenue, just
Correct.
like that. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, they get it back.
I mean, last 2 years, we have not turned back any businesses.
Okay. What else? I hear you're in the weed business. Thinking about it.
I'm a chairman of a cannabis company in Canada.
What's that business like?
Well, we're doing it from the growing distribution, but not distribution mainly in Canada, but worldwide distribution, because there's 34, 35 countries that it's already legal 100% across the board. And the margins in guys that were buying up cannabis assets 2 or 3 years ago when it was at $5,000 a pound, it must be a pound, $5,000 a pound, it's now down to $1,400, $1,500 a pound because there's been a plethora of overdevelopment.
Right.
But we put together a distinguished board in Canada. I'm the chairman, and we've got some guys that have been in the business. We've got a couple of politicians, and the well-known, respected politicians, because on October the 18th of last year, Canada across the country have made it legitimate.
Right. Okay. What other businesses? Anything else?
Internet, telco is still hot. The dental practices roll up, veterinary practices, chiropractic practices, pharmacies are good gross margin businesses.
Josh is in the bedpan business.
Correct. No, he's actually a step away from the bedpan. He provides the people that do the therapy on bedpans.
Okay.
And they outsource it, and that's what.
And what does bedpan business mean?
Bedpan means when your mother, who's I think just turned 75.
Yes.
When you get ready again.
Did you know where we went for her birthday as well?
No.
Okay, liar.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You're watching me.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And when you get ready to kick her to the curb, and you don't want her to come and live with you. You've already got too many women in your house. Okay, you go find
I hope she's not watching this.
Okay.
Mom, I'm not going to do this.
Okay, there are homes from $35,000 a month where they have country club, Olympic pools, tennis courts, golf courses, okay, down to 1,500 pounds a month, okay, where they've got 4 old people, with false teeth in one room.
In one TV.
Yeah, one TV, and a doctor comes around once a week.
Okay.
Okay, and even though they don't have a bedpan, but you realize whoever's watching this, we go from diapers to diapers. Old people normally wear diapers, and so your bedpan, and that's what they use at night because they're not strong enough to make it to the toilet down the hall.
Okay, and that's a business, and you can roll them up.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Pun intended. It's a great business.
Right, and you've always been talking about healthcare.
Correct.
And speaking of it, so Josh Kim is in that business. He came to you at 17, and he started rolling up these businesses, which if people don't understand, it means buying a bunch of independent ones and bringing them together under kind of one brand,
Correct.
Scaling them, potentially
Correct.
selling them to someone else.
Correct.
And getting, what do they call it?
An
economies
arbitrage.
of scale.
Okay,
arbitrage.
but we're buying them at, let's say, 5 times cash flow, and we're selling them to strategics for between 10 and 15 times cash flow. So we're making 5 to 10 times cash flow just on a turn.
Right, just
on
like
a
the
turn.
money.
And if you're fortunate enough to take it public, and there's downsides to going public, I mean, you could even get 18 or 20 times.
Okay, what do you think about the rehab business? That's getting big in the
Oh,
States.
yeah. Substance abuse.
Yeah.
Rehab is hot.
It's hot, right? And it will be for a while,
Yeah.
probably. With the
Yeah.
opioid
And
crisis.
all the guys from Wall Street are retiring to these rehab places. Not
Why is-
all. That's exaggeration.
Hi, it's Brian Rose from London Real. You probably know that we've just recently been re-platformed on YouTube after 25 months completely in the dark. The truth is, I really need your help. What I really need you to do is click on that subscribe button right now, like this video, and maybe even leave a comment or share the link with friends. We're really fighting against an algorithm that's tried to keep us quiet for so long. And the more subscribers we have, the more people watch our content, the better guests we can bring you, the better content, and we can continue transforming lives. We've been doing this for 14 years now. I want to do this for another 14 years, but I really need your help. So click on that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share this, and we're going to continue to bring you more and more great content. Thank you. Most people will never see this opportunity. Dubai luxury transformation projects have historically delivered 40 to 90% annual returns. That is incredible. These were once reserved only for insiders with access. I spent 15 years on Wall Street, and I learned this: the biggest returns always go to the people who get the call first. Now, you finally can. We've just received a brand new project with major upside potential. Allocations move fast. Click the link, apply now, and speak to my team. This is your chance to see what others never will.